they're saying knowledge is power, then how come millennials, the first internet native generation, are so powerless when it comes to money? In this video, we're going to talk about the financial predicament millennials find themselves in. We're talking about things like getting out of the rent trap and buying your first home, and then not being a miserable debt slave until you retire. I'm going to talk about what my 17 years of experience in the finance industry, as well as being the eldest of the millennials myself, has taught me about this generation and its struggles. Then I'm going to give you the most obvious answer that's hidden in plain sight. It's the answer to the question that you're constantly thinking about. That is, how do I make it financially? That is, buy a home, pay it off, raise a family, and retire with enough to live out your life. And believe it or not, it goes against that old saying, knowledge is power. If you don't know me, my name is Will. I'm a mortgage broker, and I run this channel because I want to talk about things financially and economically that need to be heard. When I was young, my family were fairly poor. We relied on welfare, Centrelink to make it through. I always tell people that when you grow up poor, every day is a recession. And I don't look at it like I suffered or anything like that, even though sometimes it felt like we were the only family that didn't have that much. In fact, your identity is born out of your struggles, and every person, just like every generation, has their own individual struggles. Most of the millennial generation have never gone through tough economic times. If you were born in a working class family or wealthier, your parents didn't talk about money problems in front of you, and you probably didn't have any of these worries. You just went around being a normal kid, watching cartoons or chatting on MSN Messenger or something like that, oblivious to what was going on in the outside world. In the GFC, the global financial crisis, there was no crisis here in Australia, no recession, just a lot of freshly printed government money. In the pandemic, it was the same situation. Government print money to solve problems, although we're realizing the consequences of that now. Up until recent times, the millennial generation has not had tough times forced upon them. This is not their fault, it is just a circumstance unique to their generation. Which leads us to the other humanity-altering circumstance millennials have to be the first to deal with. Millennials are the first internet generation. Humans have never dealt with living in a world where we have so much information at our fingertips. As soon as you jump on social media apps, they suck you into the doom scroll, and thousands of messages are getting pushed into your retina and onto your prefrontal cortex. We never evolved with this, and adapting to this has led to increased stress and a lot of mental illness. On top of this, our beliefs and expectations for life are increasingly based off things like social media. The truth is, media is just a projection. It's not real. Those guys who want to look rich and successful generally are not. I can say from being in finance for 17 years that most of the time when people have nice cars, for example, it's from poor decision making. Let's say they spent 100 grand on a car. Firstly, they just spent 100 grand, so they're 100 grand poorer. What's worse than that is that they probably borrowed the money, which means they're even poorer again. It's not virtue signaling, but it's status signaling. Yet we get sucked in time and time again because we're human and we compare ourselves to others. Our opinions about success and how to achieve it are warped by the modern world. I'm here to tell you that for the average person, you can still make it financially by taking a traditional approach towards finance. I'll come to this in a bit. If you are renting or living with your parents, the housing crisis has led many yet to get into the housing market to lose hope. If this is you, you need to change your expectations if losing hope and doing nothing means getting caught in the rent trap and suffering. I know that's not easy to hear. The government isn't coming to save you, but you can take advantage of their first home buyer schemes. The truth is, it's rarely been easy for people to buy their first home. If you already own a home, then quite possibly the fears are the loan repayments plus the cost of living. That feeling you have when you continually notice everything going up in price, it's not you, it's a real thing. And here's the thing, Our solutions to wealth problems are something like buy an investment property or buy some crypto. People are realizing that investment properties might not be right because they have to increase their borrowing, and most people will be buying a property that's losing money. When it comes to crypto, most are gambling rather than investing. The probability of these bets paying off are massively skewed in my opinion, and that's because these bets are shaped by social media. I'm not saying you can't make money with this stuff. What I'm saying is that false belief leads to false expectations that leads to people failing in their objectives. The thing is, we don't want to do things the way our parents and their parents did it. But in my opinion, it's the way most people can make it financially. I'm talking about having a house, raising a family, and then having enough to retire on. This is actually just what most people want. They don't really want to be crazy rich. They just want to have the life they want to live. And I'm going to tell you how to do it, but first I'll make this point. Us millennials have grown up in a new world, but it doesn't mean that everything has to change. And in my opinion, most people can achieve what they want financially just by doing the same thing previous generations did. I'm going to use a typical couple in Melbourne who are 35 or 36 years old when they buy their first home. This is a bit higher than the rest of the nation, but that's because Melbourne's house prices have been higher. If you take the full 30 years to pay the home loan off, then it's going to make things tight unless you're coming into an inheritance or something like that. The good news is that most people can easily pay off their home in 20 years. My business has a program coming soon to help borrowers get rid of their debt faster. There is a few main simple strategies which get stacked and mean the savings compound. If you want to work with me on how to achieve that, then you'll have to email me to see if we can work together. Spots are limited, and for a limited amount of time, this program will be free. Anyway, what that means is that you have another 10 years to save or invest for your retirement. If your monthly home loan repayment is $2,500 and you pay your home loan off 10 years earlier, that means you can save $300,000 in that 10 years. If you want to invest, then financial advice is what you need. I'm a mortgage broker and not licensed as a financial advisor. I can put you in touch with the right people in the know who can help you execute on that. And this is where we come full circle, because knowledge is not power if you can't execute on it. It's just a smartphone. Putting experts around you to achieve your objectives is more important now than what it's ever been before. This is true for business, it's true for fitness, health and nutrition. I believe it's also true for personal finance. If you have financial problems you think you need help with, then please get in contact. You can also jump on the My Personal Economy community page and leave an anonymous post, and I do respond to those questions as well. Links are below.